Hi creative minds, welcome back to the channel. Let's make this beautiful gown together, inspired by Stitches by Heisey on Instagram. And she uses Ankara fabric and Asooke for us, but I'm using a tie and dye fabric, which is also known as Adire and Asooke. And this is what I'm using. I actually got a fabric of 5 yards, and I have about 1.5 yards left. So this is how it goes. I folded this fabric. I fold the front and the back fabric at the same time, leaving 2 inches on the back piece for the zipper allowance. So now the first thing is to take our shoulder measurement divided by 2, and also the neck measurement we're using for this design is 3 inches wide for the front and 3 inches wide for the back as well. So now I'm just going to come down by 1 inch for a shoulder slope, and then I'll connect that to the neck base. So now for the back panel, I'm coming down for the depth of this neckline by 1 inch, and then I'm just going to make a circle to the neckline, just like this. So now we're going to take our armhole measurement divided by 2, and then you place it there. Make sure what you have on your shoulder line is what you have to confirm for your armhole. So now we're just going to connect that to the shoulder slope. The next thing is to take our bust measurement. But before then, let's take from our shoulder to our waistline, and then to our hip line, and our full gown length measurement. So now I'm just going to divide my bust measurement divided by 2 plus 1 inch for sewing allowance. And note that all measurement I'm taking are from the front panel, not from the 2 inches allowance for the zipper allowance. So now we're going to divide our armhole by 2, and on the midpoint I'm going in by 0.75, and then I'll connect it straight to the shoulder slope, and then curvy parts to our bust measurement allowance. But for the back pieces, when we're cutting it out, we'll cut out without the 0.75. That is what I was explaining here. So now our measurement for our waist measurement divided by 4, you place it right there plus your sewing allowance, and then our hip measurement divided by 4 plus your sewing allowance. Don't forget to add your sewing allowance because we are cutting directly from our pattern. So I'm just going to connect with a straight ruler from my armhole to my waist, and then a curvy part of the ruler from my waist to my hip line. And whatever I have on the hip line here, mine is 13. I'm just going to replace that on the hemline. But if you want yours to be pencil like the picture, the inspiration rather, that we are following, you can remove 1 inch from it, or 1.5, depending on how pencil you want it to be. But mine, I just use the same thing on the hip line for the hemline, and we're just going to connect that with a straight ruler to the hemline. So now this is just a demonstration of the darts that I'm trying to do here, but we don't necessarily need a dart. We don't really need a dart for the front panel. It's going to be on the back piece, so I just stopped to explain that. Now I'm just going to add that dart allowance because we are cutting the back and the front together. We're going to add that dart allowance on the waistline, which is just 1 inch, and then we slightly connect it from the waistline to the hip line. After cutting the front panel, the both panel rather, we're going to trim it back on this front panel. So now for the For this Asooke design that will be in front, we're going to deduct 2 inches from the midpoint. Note that you're going to deduct it from the front only. So 2 inches from up then to down. Remember, we already took 3 inches to our neckline, so you're just going to connect that just the way I did like this. It's not going to be straight on the top because the top is 3 inches while others are 2 inches. So you're going to take that 2 inches all the way to the hemline and then connect it straightward. Now we're just going to cut this out from the shoulder. Please note all the places I'm cutting out so that you don't end up cutting what you're not supposed to cut. Note that this is just the front panel. This side we're cutting is just for the front panel. Now we're going to cut this out on both panel. First of all, we'll cut the back armhole. So this is what we have. Now we're going to set the back piece aside and then we're going to trim out the darts we added for the front, so leaving us with just the darts on the back. I'm still going to trim out the hammer also. So now for our back snatching, to avoid zipper gaping, we're going to, on the waistline, you're going to come in by 1 inch and then connect it slightly to the top and also to the hip side of it, just like this, and then you trim it out to avoid gaping after attaching your zipper. Note that when you're about to sew this, when you want to pick your zip, the allowance you still take on this waistline is still going to be the same 2 inches. So now let's trim out the armhole for the front. So let's cut out the sleeve. I folded this in 4 with the length of my sleeve. I'm using a length of 24 inches for my sleeve, but then we're still going to attach the Asooke, which is going to be 2.5 inches. So at the end of the day, it's going to be 2 inches. So now I'll deduct 2 inches from my sleeve length, and this is what I'll going. If your sleeve is going to be 24, just mark down 21.5 inches on it. So now I'm going to place my shoulder measurement divided by 2, and then I'm coming down by 5 inches, and from that point I'm just going to make like an inverted S to it, just the way I did it like this. Just watch what I did there. This is just a freehand sleeve cutting, so I just made an inverted S just like that. And then I'm going to take my tape rule to measure what I have, if that is what my sleeve, if it's correlating with my sleeve, my armhole sleeve. What I have there is plus 1 inches my armhole sleeve, so I just left there. For this opening for the A-line design, I used 12 inches wide for my own, so by the time you open it up, it will be 24 inches. And now we're just going to connect that and cut it out. This is our sleeve, and I'm just going to notch the upper part, the midpoint. So that now we'll keep that aside and start sewing. So you open up your back pieces, the front side facing you, and then the front piece also, you place it on the back piece. Now the front side facing each other, and then we're going to join the shoulders together. We'll do the same thing for the other side as well. So this is what it looks like, and I also went ahead to pick the darts as well for the back pieces. The dart is your nipple to nipple divided by 2. That is what you're going to take from there. And the dart is as long as 12 inches from your waist, and you can divide it 12 up, 12 down. Rather 6 up, 6 down. I'm so sorry for that miscommunication. So now we're just going to place our back pieces together, the 2 back pieces together, and then measure your zipper, what length of your zipper you're using. For this, I'm using the zipper of 23 inches. So, and I'm going to measure my slit opening, how long you want your back slit opening to be like. And then you stitch the remaining parts in between for the back pieces. So now I went ahead to stitch down the 2 sides of the gown as well. And also on the upper part of the zipper, I stitch it down by 1 inch. Remember that we're going to add, this is like build up collar. So that's why I stitch it up to 1 inch on the top. So now we're going to put this together on the midpoint, which is the back. You're going to measure from there downwards. Measure from the midpoint to the neckline through to down to the hem line. Whatever measurement you have, I have 64 for my own. That is 64 times 2, because it's on the 2 side, but we took 1. So 64 times 2 is what we are going to cut out on the Asooke. You can say this is 64. So now let's cut on Asooke. You bring in your Asooke just like this, and you measure 64. Or whatever you have on yours. I'm so sorry for that. You measure whatever you get from the length of yours. So to be on the safe side, I took 65, because sometimes the Asooke might just end up folding, like not being up to the same measurement. So I just cut this out in one piece. Now you're going to fold this in 2. Just watch what I'm doing here, like this. If it's not very easy to do, use an iron. I use iron to fold this down, just like this. Then you iron it to make sure it's equal. Yeah, this is what you're going to iron it, and this is what it's going to look like. Now let's split this in 2. The other edge where it's open is kind of weaved, and it's very tight. Cannot remove, it cannot fray out from there. So this part that you are cutting out, this middle that you're cutting out, is what you're going to attach to your main dress. Now you're going to put this together. you're going to join it together, hold it, put it on top of each other just like this, and stitch it down by 1/2 inch, and then you stitch it on the other side, top stitch it down. So that point is where we are going to attach to our neckline. That middle point is going to be on the midpoint of the back, on the main fabric. And note that where you cut out is where you're going to attach to your main fabric. You can see what I'm doing. The point where I cut out is where I'm going to attach to my main fabric, just like this. And then you're going to pin this down all the way down. You pin it down on both sides so that it will be very easy for you to work with on your machine. And now you're going to stitch down by 1/2 inch. This is what we have now. You're going to iron that on the main fabric, and you can go ahead to stitch it, but it won't be very easy to stitch as the Asooke will be disturbing. So now I went ahead to fix my zipper, and this is what it's looking like already. So now the next thing is to close up this front, and by this you're going to put your tape rule on your shoulder line, and then determine how open you want it to be, the length of your opening, how you want it to be. So I eventually used 12 inches for my opening, but you can use 10 inches depending on how you want it to open. And then you place one of this on each other by 1/2 inch, just like this, and then you stitch down on top like your top stitching. That is how it's going to be. So now this is what it's looking like, just like this. I did that 2 times so that it will secure it well. This is what we have. So I went ahead to fold the M also, and we are almost ready. So now remember, this is 12 inches, so for guide's sake, now we have 24 inches for the when you open it up. So now we're just going to fold our Asooke in 2 and then measure 13 just to be safe. Also, you're going to fold this in two equal pieces. Fold it 2 equally, just like this. You can go ahead and iron it so that it will be very easy for you to split into 2. So now this is what we have, and then on that point, that part that you cut out is where you're going to attach to your sleeve also. So now you're going to attach the Asooke to your sleeve. Open it up, your right side facing you, and then place your Asooke on it. Stitch down by 1/2 inch all the way through, and then stitch the 2 sides of your sleeve together and attach to your main dress, and we're done. This is what it looks like. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.